Hey folks, I'm Tennessee Brando with the MeidasTouch Network. Now I'm going to say this might be the most personal video that I've ever contributed here because there is something about the whole Hunter Biden saga that just really strikes a raw nerve with me. And that's because I'm someone who has struggled with addiction and alcoholism in my lifetime. Yesterday, Hunter Biden walked out before Marjorie Taylor Greene had a chance to speak. And of course, she went into her whole shtick about, oh, are you afraid of me, Hunter? Are you afraid of my words? And of course, she called him a coward and just did her usual routine. But then when Hunter walked outside, he had reporters asking him what kind of crack he used. And later, Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking with Alex Jones about how Hunter looked messed up. Hunter looked high to them. I want you to take a look at this clip, and then we're going to come back and talk more about it.
He did. He looked like he was on drugs. His eyes were very wild. He shifted his eyes a lot. I think he's trying to play the victim of Republicans, but he can't play the victim. The Trump family, Eric, Don Jr., Ivanka, they all had to come in, and they sat for these subpoenas and were questioned for over 8 hours each by Democrats here on Democrat-controlled committees. The Trump family obeys the law, and that's the clear difference in the Biden family. And Hunter Biden has a serious history of drug use. I don't know if he was on drugs today, but I definitely question it. And it was evident in his behavior and the way he looked.
So let me tell you guys why that strikes such a raw nerve with me. Hunter Biden has turned his life around, and in any other world, he would be praised for it. But in the MAGA Republican world, they still continue to use his past addiction against him. And they find a way to demonize it and to belittle it. And what they don't realize is that there are other recovering addicts who are watching their behavior and seeing them for the kind of people they are, and they don't realize that that type of behavior is very triggering to someone who is struggling with addiction, to someone who is trying to recover and to turn their life around. Now, I've debated this with people for years, and addiction is a disease, but there's a whole lot of people out there that will say, no, it's not. It's self-inflicted. You did it to yourself. You made that choice. Well, maybe you do make the choice to do it the first time, but once you do, it becomes a disease. It might be self-inflicted, but it's a disease now, and you're stuck with it the rest of your life. What a lot of people don't tell you is that once you do face up to it and you own it, and that's the hardest part. The hardest part is admitting that you have a problem. In my case, I was a musician for over 25 years. I didn't set out to ever get on drugs. One day, I just had a hard time walking on stage. One day, I just had a hard time waking up. And someone handed me something and said, this here will wake you up, and this will get you through the night. And I said, okay, and it did. It got me up, and it kept me up. Then I couldn't go to bed. And then someone said, well, if you need to come down, here's something to bring you down. And I would do that at my shows. Now, if people ask me about it, I would say, I'm not a drug addict at all. I don't have a problem. I just do this when I'm playing music to get me through my shows. It's just something I do. I'm not out here, stealing. I'm not out here breaking the law. I'm not out here doing all these things. I'm just trying to get by, and this helps to pick me up, and this helps to put me down. And I used to say, I don't have a problem. And I said that for years, until one day I crashed right into the wall and realized, no, you've got a serious problem. And I had to face up to it, and I had to own it. And that's the hardest part, is facing up to it and owning it. But the part they don't tell you, when you start your road to recovery, at least no one ever told me, is that no matter how far you get away from it and no matter how far it gets in your rearview mirror, you will still wake up with cravings. You will still have moments where you just become overwhelmed with the cravings for it. And it's one of the hardest things that you could ever try to let go of. And anyone that's went through it, if they will be honest with you, will admit they've slipped up along the way. They've had moments where they slipped up because life got too hard and because the pressures got too hard. And there's moments where you slip and you feel so worthless and you feel so guilty for it. That's why that I've never really said that I was in recovery, because I've always felt guilty for the slip-ups along the way. and I never wanted to look like a hypocrite to anybody. But when you've got a group of people over here constantly demonizing it, the guilt that it brings down on you will make you feel so worthless that it's easier to slip up. When you see people making a mockery out of it and making a joke out of it, and they're doing this with Hunter Biden, all for a political stunt. The reason they're talking to you so much about Hunter Biden is because they're trying to distract you from the train wreck that is Donald Trump. Hunter Biden has nothing to do with our lives. He's a private citizen. He's the president's son. He doesn't hold an office. He isn't running for an office. The reason they're talking about him is to distract you from the real problems that they have that they don't want to face up to. But in their demonizing of Hunter Biden, they choose to demonize his addiction. And when they do that, there's addicts and there's recovering addicts and there's people who have struggled that are listening to that and watching that. And what they don't understand is that that rhetoric is very triggering. What they don't realize is that someone is sitting there feeling pretty bad, or someone is sitting there with those moments that they're trying to fight off so hard. And then you have these scumbags using it as a way to demonize him. If it was any other world, if he was anybody else, they would applaud him for it. I see people all the time. I have friends who post about their recovery and they get applauded by the same people who will turn and laugh and demonize Hunter Biden. And when you sit there and you share that shit on social media and you post it around, your friends who are recovering, your friends who are struggling, they see that. And they see that you're the type of person that thinks that's funny. And that's something to laugh at. And that's something to mock. I have been there. I have hit that wall. I have walked in to those places and been committed and been put in there for a week. It is the loneliest, coldest place you could ever be in your life. I wasn't allowed to have phone calls. Now, my family would have called and checked on me, but I wasn't allowed to have any. And when I listened to Joe Biden talking to Hunter and encouraging him, it struck a nerve in me because I thought, man, that would have been awesome. That would have been great to hear my dad. And they demonized him for it. Fuck them. Really. There are a whole lot of people out there who try every day to do better. And the old Republican ideology used to be, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, guess what? There's a whole bunch of us that are trying our damnedest to. And you guys keep mocking and turning addiction into a joke and to a political stunt. I could name you 100 reasons, and I could keep going, but I could probably name 100 at rapid fire as to why I would never vote Republican. But the fact that they use that as a weapon against someone will always be Exhibit A for me, and it's unforgivable to me. They say the parties switched and the parties flipped in the past. If that ever happened in the future and the parties suddenly switched and flipped, I don't know if I could ever do it, because I would always say, yeah, but ain't this the side that mocked addiction? Ain't this the side that belittled people trying to recover? It's completely unforgivable to me. And it was very hard to sit here and talk about. So you guys keep tuning in here on the MeidasTouch Network. And I will keep doing my damnedest to always tell you the truth and to always stand on the side of truth and democracy and to not let those bastards win.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.